Homeopathy started as a science way back towards the end of the 18th century. Hahnemann came out with the fundamental principle of the law of similars, and he developed the law of similars by using the process which was absolutely unique called potentization, by using the medicines in the potentized form, using the law of similars. And he experimented with around 100 new homeopathic drugs at that time and had clinical efficacy proven of these medicines. He devoted his entire lifetime to develop homeopathy as a science. Fabulous work done by a scientist, Samuel Hahnemann. He also talked about philosophy, or it was understood as philosophy, concept of vital force, susceptibility, individualization, and things like that. So in the later part of in the 19th century, homeopathy turned out to be more philosophical with Kentian philosophy, and around that time, the homeopathic literature, which was developed by people such as Hahnemann himself as well as some of his associates, and subsequently people like Samuel Swan and others, Kent developed certain philosophical ideas around the personality types, the constitutional medicine, and ran the philosophy around that, which made and kept homeopathy more as philosophical, and it lost its touch from the science. These are my views. When we say science, it requires critical review of anything and everything. Critical questioning is required for science. In science, such as in physics and chemistry or mathematics, you don't take anything for granted. You are supposed to conduct an experiment to see what result comes when you do step A and step B. The literature which was generated using homeopathic methods of drug proving, so we had close to 400 or 500, almost 1,000 homeopathic drugs and their mater America, which continued clinical use for almost 150 years thereafter. And people never asked questions. When you don't ask a question, when you accept anything as it is without asking a question, when you just follow anything blindly without a scientific query, then it becomes more philosophical, and even it becomes more religious because there is no scientific inquiry. Then your scientific work turns into some sort of presumptions and beliefs and blind following. That is what happened partly to homeopathy in the later years. For example, 100 drugs that we have in the drug proving, and we have been using them for over 200 years without revalidating their efficacy. We rarely have evidence of re-drug proving. We have used the data which was given in the mater America developed by Hahnemann himself, which was fantastic but not ultimate. We can always question that. We can always redo it because the medicines used, we did not know many times the source material in fully, because in those years the scientific characterization of many homeopathic medicines such as Thuja, for example, or medicines such as Sepia, or even Lachesis or Calcarea carb was not available. So we are just blindly following what was being done earlier, and whatever symptoms they are described in the mater America. We should have revalidated the data. We should have revalidated the symptoms. The medicines, if done again, prepared again, whether they produce similar symptoms or not. All our drug provings previously done were never placebo controlled. So we have a mixed data from the human trials, which is also very risky. So we blindly followed those data. Whatever Kent said, we just followed it. Whatever which was given in the mater Americas, written by, commented by many people, including Ellen's keynotes, etc. We blindly followed them without asking a question, without revalidating any of them. There's a big thing. In my view, what is lacking in homeopathy for years is the critical thinking. We did not critically evaluate many parts of homeopathy. In the organon of medicine, for example, Hahnemann says that two similar diseases do not remain together. They replace each other at one point, whichever is stronger. This probably is not true always when we see clinically, isn't it? Many similar diseases such as two allergic phenomena, two infectious diseases, they coexist and they do not replace each other. So likewise, there are a number of examples. We need to question it. Hahnemann himself was a big scientist. He questioned himself, he questioned the fundamentals believed in those years. But after Hahnemann, we've unfortunately almost forgotten on how to ask questions. Our students in the medical colleges are not taught to ask questions. There's the biggest lacking that we have. That's a big deficit that we have. Many times they are not encouraged to ask questions because the teachers are not capable of answering the questions in the first place. We have mater Americas, we have got repertories. Repertories have data which are not controlled organized, anybody could add symptoms and remedies in the repertoire without having a scientific validation of the truth of those symptoms. And that makes eventually the prescribers all over the world at risk, because they end up using the data which is less reliable. So likewise, we have a lot of lacunae, a lot of gaps when you try to weigh homeopathy as a science. Though homeopathy is fundamentally, in my view, a scientific method, but based on scientific principles. However, the way how it is being utilized, the way how we use the data may not be fully scientific. There's a difference. In the scientific space, questioning is always encouraged. When questioning is not encouraged, then you end up presuming things and you end up blind following some concept or some people. Unfortunately, that has happened in homeopathy. People have blindly followed certain individuals, certain individual teachers, and they have blindly followed what is being written in the Mater Medica or in the textbooks. After all, the Mater Medica or the textbooks are written by certain human beings. They are learned people, but then they had limited resources to document and to scientifically document the literature, isn't it? So when you blindly follow something, it becomes a religion more than philosophy, and it becomes much less of a science. So if homeopathy has to evolve and grow as a scientific system of medicine, which actually it is, then it will have to bring in a lot of critical thinking. It will have to unlearn a lot of things. Many large part of the literature that we have will need to review, will need revalidation, will require a lot of experimentation in the light of the modern scientific methods that we currently have. We'll have to bring that. We cannot shy away from the scientific methods and applying them in homeopathy. We need to do this. We need to evaluate each and every homeopathic medicines to understand their nanostructure, if any, by using the currently available scientific methods. We need to see what effects they bring about in the human body at cellular level, at immunological level. We need to review all of that. Once we do that, once we succeed doing it, then only I believe that homeopathy will evolve more as a science. You see, the philosophy is good for every system of medicine, okay? There has to be certain philosophical concepts, like when you say individualization, when you say totalistic approach, etc. That is philosophy, which is fine, but then we cannot overdo with philosophy. Medical science cannot remain as a philosophical system fully. It has to have science behind it. It has to have scientific methods which should be possible to revalidate at any given time. So we need a lot of housekeeping, we need a lot of scientific corrections, facelift, and overhauling in a way. These are my quick thoughts on homeopathy as a science, philosophy, and religion. I believe it might not be appreciated by a lot of homeopaths, but I believe even if it can activate some young minds to think differently, then it will be worth sharing these experiences. Thank you so much.